Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. I see we have people from Central Time Zone, Eastern Time Zone, Mountain Time Zone, Pacific. It's, it's so wonderful that people have gathered in this way and uh, that I get to be part of this community that comes together like this. I'm having trouble with the lighting in here. I don't want to look like I'm made of grapefruit as I did before, but this looks very strange. So I'm going to switch another light back on. Somewhat better. Okay, well, I have a talk today that I hope will be um, uh, pretty brief and also experiential. Um, I've given a couple of talks in the past about the incredible mystery that resides within our bodies, that we think we know about, but that in fact all these operations that are happening within our bodies that we really can't even begin to comprehend without a thorough understanding of anatomy, physiology, and chemistry and physics. And I gave a talk about how there's proteins in our muscles that fit together like hooks and eyes and have to, and in a process that renews over and over again billions of times every second, allows us to breathe, allows us to flex our muscles, and so on. And that these are simply molecular activities that have nothing to do with any thought, except that they respond to nerve impulses and get activated and then get recharged through this electrochemical apparatus that lives within each of the cells. And this is so mysterious, Uh, we think we know what breathing is. We think we know what walking is. We think we know what we're doing just sitting down, and relaxing certain muscles and tensioning certain muscles in response to the force of gravity. Um, and to me, these are imponderable mysteries that are happening within our own body that we just take for granted. They're background noise to us. And there was a mention the other day, someone said that, with the solstice coming up, that they didn't really want to hear scientific explanations of what was going on with the solstice. And I had a big reaction to that. I thought, no, the scientific explanations make things doubly beautiful, doubly meaningful. And I want to just read something. I can't tell you where it's from because I've lost the source of it. But I want to read something that has to do with standing up at the beginning of walking. And it goes like this. And it's obviously from a traditional source. There's a term in it used in here, the Hatto, Hatto, which means the meditation hall in a Japanese monastery. And that's what I'm saying when I say Hatto in reading this. So it says, when the bell rings for Kinhin, and we start to change the posture from the posture of Zazen to the posture of taking care of the Zafu and the Zabuton, and then to the posture of standing up, often we are not aware of the richness of detail actually present in each of these moments. Often, very often, self-image will have busied itself with thoughts of hoping that the bell will ring, hoping that you can, whoever writes this says, making a deal with ourselves, please let me sit here without screaming. And we will find, if we are aware of that, because of our tendency to believe the stories that arise, such as the story that my hip hurts or my ankle hurts or my knee hurts. The tendency to believe the stories that arise we are not aware of the completeness of each moment, but are making a choice to focus attention into one aspect of that moment, which we could give a name, pain or pleasure or whatever. When we stand, when we feel the knees lift from the floor, when we feel the heels touch, when we feel the hip bone rotate in the hip as the torso straightens, when we feel the shoulders fall down and back as we lift the hands into Shashu Mudra, when we feel the breath causing the rib cage to fan out as we breathe in, and when we feel the neck delicately straighten to support the head, when we feel the alignment of the ears over the shoulders, the alignment of the nose over the navel, when we feel the eyes widen, when we see the wall on the other side of the hatto in our peripheral vision, when the gaze opens, when we see the colors and forms in front of us, when we begin to step forward, present in this moment, feeling the left foot lift from the floor, feeling this change in the temperature as the skin of the foot is raised higher from the floor, as we notice the knee joint bending and the space around the bones, as we feel the breath rising and falling, as the foot steps forward and the air rushes between the toes, as we feel the contact of the heel on the floor about half to 3/4 of the way down the length of the other foot, as we feel the heat of the skin on the left foot reaching out to the skin of the right foot, we are feeling into this moment. The foot contacts the floor, heel first, then the outer edge of the foot, the ball of the foot, and then we feel the ball of the toe, the big toe on the floor, and the gentle shift in balance occurs, to be repeated with the other foot. So to me, that's a beautiful evocation of something that I often think about in terms of kind of pre-verbal learning, that they're with our hands, with our eyes, with our upper bodies. It's easy to make words and easy to put words to the perceptions, and therefore easy to trace the perceptions of what we're experiencing. But with our feet, with our legs, in the lower body, and the action of walking, those are things we learned, I think, in a pre-verbal state in most cases. I know people that have had to relearn to walk after an injury. And if you've experienced that, I'd love to be able to hear what that experience was like. But most of us learn to walk in a pre-verbal state, and therefore the perceptions that are accessible to us are very hard to put into words. There's that beautiful catalog of widening perceptions and experiencing colors, and then the differences in positioning and temperature and tensioning and movement that occur within the body that was just presented. But that's only a tiny part of it. I want to share just for just a moment this diagram. I actually led a 1-day plus sitting about 5 years ago, in which I used this diagram, and we mostly talked about walking in that 1-day sitting. And I just want to point out, if you look over on the left-hand side of this image, I know it's hard for the folks in the Zendo to see, but there are muscles, bundles of muscles that are coming down from the front of the shin and the back of the shin, reaching into the ankle, and then the tendons, these white fibrous looking things, connecting with the toes, connecting with the tarsals and metatarsals and other bones in the foot. And there's a layer of muscle in the foot, but at least most of the lifting action of the foot is coming from the muscles that are up in the shin. The flexing muscles you can see kind of delicately fanned over each other in the foot in this left-hand diagram here. Have to do with flexing the foot and arching the arch and pushing the foot downward. And the others are about lifting up. And that's something that's very important in all of our body, is that most muscles are paired with their opposites. They're the muscles that pull and the muscles that pull in a different direction, and balance each other out. And the exquisite balance between all of these things that has to be in place, that we have, that and that is a kind of a metacognition, to know about this balancing of muscular tensions, that it's not something we can feel directly, and yet it's utterly necessary for the operation of the body. So I would ask you, just as an experiential thing, I'm going to read the paragraph again, the second paragraph, which begins, "When we stand." And I'll ask you to stand up and just see what you are perceiving, and see if the cues from this reading are helpful to you, or if you notice something different. So the description is of a very slow standing up, and that may be a lot easier to do from a chair than from sitting on a cushion. But here we go. Just please, at your own pace, stand up and pay attention to what you're feeling in your body and how your perceptions change as you stand up. When we stand, when we feel the knees lift from the floor, when we feel the heels touch, when we feel the hip bone rotate in the hip as the torso straightens, when we feel the shoulders fall back and fall downward as we lift the hands into Shashu Mudra, when we feel the breath causing the rib cage to fan out as we breathe in and to contract as we breathe out, when we feel the neck delicately straighten to support the head, when we feel the alignment of the ears over the shoulders, when we feel the eyes widen and the gaze begin to embrace our peripheral vision, when the gaze opens and we see the colors and forms in front of us in a new way, when we step forward, present in this moment, feeling the left foot lift from the floor, feeling this change in the temperature as the skin of the foot is raised higher from the floor. I'm going to add in feeling the flexion of our toes lifting up, and then the contraction of the muscles in our foot as it settles back down onto the floor, and then delicately adjusts each of the bones so that we can maintain our balance, and how our eyes are informing where we are in space so that we can know what balance means in this moment. As we notice the knee joint bending and the space around the bones, as we feel the breath rising and falling, as the foot steps forward and the air rushes between the toes and changes the temperature. We feel the contact of the heel on the floor about half to 3/4 of the way down the length of the other foot. As we feel the heat of the skin on the left foot reaching out to the skin of the right foot, we are feeling into this moment. The foot contacts the floor, heel first, then the outer edge of the foot, then the ball of the foot, and then we feel the ball of the big toe on the floor, and the gentle shift begins. The gentle shift in our balance begins. To me, that's a really beautiful meditation, and one that I so seldom engage in, because I'm doing what is described in the first sentence, being lost in the story of struggling with my thoughts and wishing that things were different than they are. And it is, and the reminder that standing up and getting ready to walk, and then beginning walking, and all of these, that these are experiences that are available to us that can gently uh, beckon us to move away from the story and into the perception of the present moment, which is endless. The present moment is uh, right here, and it's also as wide as the earth, as wide as all uh, the possible experiences that are available to us. So I would love to hear if you have yeah, please do sit if you can, and notice what it's like to sit down again. Any changes that you find in your body. I would love to hear if you noted anything. Or if,
Joel, would you like to end screen sharing?
yes, thank you. I will do that.
Thank you.
Okay. And let me switch to gallery view for myself. Okay, great. Rosemary, I see your hand. And you're muted. Yeah.
Hi. Thank you so much, Joel. I really appreciating all of that. First, the explanation. Well, the visual was amazing, and then the meditation that you recited. Such a great reminder of the exquisite um, structure that is our bodies, and that is supporting us in all these amazing things that we do that we take for granted, like standing up. It's an amazing coordination. Anyway, just
And
to be go ahead.
I want to add something to the point that I think that our language focuses ignorance on us. We say the foot instead of everything that we saw inside the skin in that diagram. We say the breath, and that as if that was one thing instead of thousands.
Yeah, we're not focused on body intelligence at all, and I love this reminder. And it really, I love also what you said about helping us. Doing this is an aid to concentration. So yeah, appreciation. Just the visual and the meditation together just heightened my appreciation for all of that, and to have maybe to have a visual image as I move around would be a really good also strategy for concentration. So thank you for this. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Rosemary. And I want to say, what a sweater you are wearing. What a garment. Yeah,
It's the warmest one. It's getting cold here.
yeah. Anne, I see your hand.
Yeah, thank you. This is goes so deeply for me, having recently had having an illness of bones and muscles
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
arthritis in my hip, and then having had surgery on one of those hips, and then the experience of balance, the experience of shifting from one side to the other is so complete. I mean, in this particular instance, we focused on the foot and we saw muscles in the ankle and lower leg, but uh, it goes up to the back and the hip, the shoulder. That when I because of some of my muscles in my hip are weak, making that shift to put weight on that left side affects everything. So
And if I'm hearing you right, you're saying that that you are more aware that other muscles are being involved, like in your back, in your even your upper back, to compensate for what the things that you would normally take for granted, but because they have been weakened, you cannot take them for granted.
right,
Is that
right.
right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And just how everything, even when things are working together, they're all working. It's
Mm-hmm.
one step is a whole body activity,
Mm-hmm.
not a foot or an ankle. It's, and like you were talking about when you were first describing it, um, using your eyes, your vision to help achieve and maintain balance.
Mm-hmm.
That sense as well is so vital. Yes, thank you. This is very, I love this kind of minute attention.
Yeah, and and again that the sense of balance, that the visual information is getting into your brain, and it's without words sending it to these little muscles in your feet that are adjusting which toe is going to push down on the floor, how much to maintain your upright posture, and it's sending messages into your big muscles in your thighs and your hips and up through your lower back again to maintain. You have to keep the whole column straight, which is really hard to do with your eyes closed if you're taking small steps. um, and this information is flowing back and forth between the muscles and the tendons and the ligaments and the nerves, back and forth between the eyes and these operations that are happening without words. This is
Right?
a glorious miracle, you know? Yeah, in every step. Shashi, I see your hand. I'm sorry. And is that the end for you? Thank you.
Yes.
Shashi, welcome.
Yes, thank you. Um, yes, this talk reminded me of I had an accident about 10 years ago. I broke my ankle
Ah,
and I was in bed for like 3 months and I had forgotten. By the time I recovered, I was using a walker for a while. I I forgot how to walk.
mm,
And so I had to go to physical therapy, and I was amazed that like I had forgotten how to put my one foot in front of the other. And of course, my muscles were really weak and on
mm,
my leg that I had the surgery on. But she had to teach me how to walk again. And during that time, I realized how precious like everything in your body is, especially your feet and your hands, and well, just about everything.
mm,
But how important, the feet are. Like I couldn't get around. I mean, I had to have somebody get me a glass of water, and you know, it was really like time to just appreciate every part of my
mhm,
body. And this it was wonderful to see your presentation.
mm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shashi. Can I ask a question?
Uh-huh.
Do you recall what it was when you were relearning to walk in physical therapy? What was it, or what was the moment where you thought, "Oh yeah, this is coming back to me now"? This is it, was it the reaching of the foot out? Was it the compression as your weight shifted to it? Or is there a sensation that you recall where you thought, "Oh
Y-
yeah, I'm getting this again"?
Yeah, it was yeah, part of it was the compression and just like lifting the foot up. Like I had not lifted my foot up for so long to put it down, so that was scary at first.
Mm,
And yeah, just the weight, like my body couldn't take my
mm,
weight because it was so weak.
mm.
And yeah, just putting the weight down, like I remember that was hard. And, just like taking each step and then,
Mhm.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
Lisa?
Hi,
I-
Jill.
Lisa,
Uh,
you have some things to say about this.
yeah, I
So
didn't.
would you mind telling anyone who might not know about why I say that?
Um, so on December 5th, 2010, I was driving a small car, a Fit, and I was, for those of you in Texas, you'll know this well, I was on 281 heading just north of Wichita Falls for a family reunion, and I didn't quite make it. Apparently, I just like that. Had a blank and I had a head-on accident. Well, not quite head-on. I only knew this after the fact. I crossed the median and hit a pickup truck. Not quite full head-on or whatever. I wouldn't be here, I guess. Anyhow, basically, I should be dead, really. Uh, but the amazing thing to me was all the trouble that surgeons and others went to put my body, make my body function, put my body back together. So, being kind of a cynical with my just I have parts that are very cynical about um about why bother do all this. Um, so that's kind of an aside, but it's really interesting, what it took to keep me alive. And like I said, it's like, wow, that's a lot of medical care, it's a lot of resources, a lot of advocacy. But then but getting to the part about my feet, it's like secondary to this accident. I lost circulation in my feet due to medications. And so I lost my forefeet. And another amputee once pointed out to me I'm actually, um, a quadruple amputee because I'm missing my forefeet and my fingertips. And they said, yeah, you have had to adapt. And I thought, well, I mean, that's true, but I just took it for granted. I didn't think it was a big deal. Uh, so getting back to the feet, there's a lot of amazement about my body in this whole process of being in hospital and unconscious and in rehab for months and months, learning how to walk again. But cut to now, because my forefeet are missing. I mean, for the last few years, once I was able to slowly start walking again, it's always been kind of a delight to me, like Joel's talking about, to consider biomechanically all the work that our forefeet do. It's really amazing. I have no forefeet to push off of. So I do physical therapy. I'm very diligent. So other muscles have to take over. I mean, muscles of my thigh, my calves, especially my core. I have to, if I want to walk I have to keep the core very strong because they're doing a lot of work that, that's worth it. They aren't very long, but, they're at the very end of the extremities and they roll forward, like Joel said, you roll forward on the ball of your foot. Well, I don't have, I guess I don't have a ball on my foot. I don't have a single toe. Um, so it just really fascinates me how all that works. And I feel a little, it's like also my passion in life was always walking and hiking. And I mean, that's what I love. So when I was in, my daughter who had my POA said, I was not conscious, said to the surgeon, well, my mother walks everywhere. That's what she does. And the question to the surgeon was like, well, would she want to live? Would she want to live if she could walk? Which I was very thankful to know she had the courage to ask that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I've mostly accepted that loss graciously. Not the worst thing that ever happened in my life, it seems. But I've lost the ability to ride a bike. I can't do that. I can't swim without wearing like fins or something because I mean, how fascinating. That just those little few inches. It's like I can't propel myself forward. I can't hike. I can't get into a kayak. I mean, it's just fascinating to me. Maybe I don't feel bitter because I did so much before the thing, but what Joel is saying, like, yeah, all these body parts work together. So, adaptation and the compensation and the need to have a physical therapist who knows what exercises I need to do to strengthen, you know, the muscles that do allow me to ambulate. So I think that's enough. It's been a fascinating journey.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I wasn't sure that you were going to be here today. And when I saw you, I thought, is this, have I really chosen the right thing to talk about without like giving Lisa a heads up? I don't know. Marla, hi.
Good morning. I appreciate how at the beginning of your talk you mentioned the spiritual versus the scientific assessment or description of the solstice. And because the solstice has been so much on my mind for the last few days, something about this experience that you introduced to us made me think of the universe, that our galaxy at least, as being a living organism, and that the pole of the earth and the dance with the sun as it turns, the intricacy that's there, instead of seeing these enormous things as monoliths, looking at them as like us, having minute movements and organic changes, and bringing in the scientific nature of that to the solstice. I've just been delighted by the intersection of the scientific and the universal with the body related, the body mind thing. So anyway, thank you. I really have enjoyed this.
And Marla, I know that you have had some physical therapy that's helped you to uh, regain and or maintain the capacity to ambulate, and that's not something that you take for granted very much.
No, not at all. And the most important learning for me, from having two knee replacements and a physical therapist who was a little bit too draconian, is to listen to my own body. And when someone's telling me to do something that doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Mm.
Or else it can cause harm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Worse injury. Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Becky, hi.
Yes. Um, I was the person who made that the statement about science and like about being in it, but it isn't because I in any way don't value the information that is available to us through science. One of the things I've really appreciated is the various talks that you and Christoph and John Eric have brought that are based on basically that gradually Western science is beginning to catch up to Buddha and taking in some of the things that they considered not to exist. And they're recognizing that those are some of the parts that make it all work rather than that, because Western medicine tends to take everything apart.
Mm-hmm.
Or in all the science, it's to take it all apart and give it all names and say, now we know what this is.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I have suspicion about looking at it from that direction first.
Mm-hmm.
But to look at it within the context of what our Dharma holds is, I think, very. I think that it goes together well if you come from that direction first.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that's, yeah, and yes, it is. It's an amazing bodies that we have, and each time I have an experience or exploration about anything that I'm also like I'm experiencing it, and then I explore to understand it better, I have even more, just so much appreciation for how a body can work that thoroughly with itself, like.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, yeah. And walking, I one of the film nights early on when I was with Appamada was, I think it's called The Walker, and it's 20 minutes of a monk walking around in, oh, I forget where, but 20 minutes of the slowest steps that you can imagine.
Hmm.
And it was, I've watched it 3 times, and it has a lot to do with really feeling what's in your body and then in the whole, like.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much for this. The image that you shared with us, um, I personally don't have that one, but I have a book called the Coloring Book of Anatomy, I think, something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I look at it all the time when anything happens in my body, I go and look, okay, well, what does that look like to the people who have looked at it from, a little closer,
Mm-hmm.
and what's its relationship to other things and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a joy.
Mm-hmm. Thank
And,
you.
and it helps us have more compassion for our body,
Yes.
the better we know it, the better we have compassion for that, and therefore for ourselves
Mm-hmm.
at the emotional level as well. So,
Hmm.
yeah. And I thank you so much.
Thank you for that Dharma talk, Becky. I do not see any other hands raised at this time. So, oh, I see Jess. Jess, hi.
I raised my hand for Kim because you can't see him, and he raised his hand.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was in just the window was too small. Kim, hi.
Two things. One is in high school, I'd go to this library at night, and there was one book in the reference, maybe it was a reference book. I couldn't check it out. Well, I don't think I had permission at the library to check books out anyway, but it was called The Book of Miracles. And my goal in life was to experience a miracle. And I thought then I would know that God exists. I had a miracle, and then now in my life, I've experienced one thing after another that are miracles, including this process of walking that you described, including, I don't know if either of you saw it, but the sky this morning, there was this dark, dark band at the bottom, sunset, the sun rising, and then above it was a clear sky. It was just really amazing. But anyway, every day is a miracle. And so there's that. And also, as people have been talking, I've been rewriting the first line of the Four Noble Truths. So rather than caught in the self-centered dream, I thought we could say lost in the self-centered dream. You know, not actually stuff is happening. And then instead of only suffering, something like missing this moment.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Joe, for the miracle, for the discussion of the miracle.
Thank you, Kim. That puts me in mind of Flint's beautiful rewriting of, I guess it's the Shin Shin Ming, where, well, I can only remember the first line, but it's like being more compassionate is available for those who are not afraid to be vulnerable, instead of the traditional wording of it. And there have been many talks. Of course, Flint has presented this, but many talks that have been based on this beautiful kind of reimagining of that text that Flint proposed. And it just points to what you're saying, that it takes being willing to take time and to have vulnerability, and then you can not be so lost, and you can appreciate more the miraculous, the uncountable number of miracles that are unfolding all the time. Lisa?
Could you send us that version that Flint did? I have it somewhere, but I don't know where it is.
Okay,
If
I'll just
find it.
yeah, I'll send it to the whole sangha, just
Yeah.
as a reminder that it came, that it came up in passing, and that here's the version.
This is
And
a nice time of year to do that, actually.
yeah, yeah, and a nice time, and a very nice time of year to remember it, as we are at the cusp of the new year. Very good. Thank you. Well, I'm sorry, am I missing any other hands in the Zendo, or? Good, good. All right, well, let's close.